the city that has been on fire for over 60 years. In the quiet hills of Pennsylvania, there is a place where the ground itself is alive with fire, a place where smoke rises from the earth without warning, a place where an entire town was slowly erased, not by war, not by disaster, but by something far more silent and far more unstoppable. This place is called Centralia, and for more than 60 years it has been burning beneath the surface. At first, Centralia was just like any other small American town. Founded in the 1800s, it was built on coal. Coal was the reason the town existed. Coal was the reason families moved there, built homes, opened stores, and raised children. The mines provided jobs, stability, and purpose. The town grew slowly, but it grew with pride. Neighbors knew each other. Children played in the streets. Life was simple. In 1962, a decision was made that seemed completely normal at the time. The town needed to clean its landfill, which had filled with trash over the years. To solve the problem, workers chose to burn the garbage, a common method used in many places across America during that era. It was considered simple and effective. Light the fire, let it burn, and the problem would disappear. No one thought twice about it. Instead of staying contained within the landfill, the flames slowly spread beyond the surface. Beneath the trash was a hidden opening in the earth, one that connected directly to a network of abandoned coal mine tunnels deep underground. When the fire reached that exposed coal seam, everything changed. Coal does not burn like wood. It burns slowly, silently, and once it starts, it can continue for years, decades, or even centuries. And deep underground, it becomes almost impossible to reach. There is no easy way to extinguish it. The fire slipped into the tunnels beneath Centralia and began moving through the underground passages, feeding on endless fuel. It spread gradually, deeper and farther, inch by inch, day by day. At first, no one realized the true danger. There were no visible flames, no explosions, no immediate signs of disaster. Residents noticed that certain areas of the ground felt warm, even during cold winters. Steam and smoke began rising from cracks in the earth. Roads started to weaken and split open without warning. Some people reported strange smells in the air, smells that made them feel dizzy or sick. The changes were subtle at first, easy to ignore, easy to explain away. But over time, it became impossible to deny that something was very wrong. The situation became truly terrifying in 1981, when a 12-year-old boy named Todd was playing in his backyard. Without warning, the ground beneath him suddenly collapsed. A massive sinkhole opened directly below his feet, dropping him into a deep, dark hole filled with deadly gases. The hole was over 150 feet deep, and toxic carbon monoxide was rising rapidly from below. Todd screamed for help as he held on to the edge, seconds away from falling into a place where survival would have been impossible. It was no longer just a strange situation. It was a deadly threat. The underground fire had weakened the ground so much that it could collapse at any moment. Toxic gases could rise without warning. Entire sections of land were becoming unstable. Today, Centralia is almost completely gone. Most of the buildings have been removed. Nature has taken over the land. Trees and grass now grow where homes once stood, but the fire is still burning underground. Smoke can still be seen rising from cracks in the earth. Scientists estimate that the fire could continue burning for another 200 years or more. Low, and yet, despite everything, a few people refused to leave. They chose to stay, living in one of the most dangerous places in America. They wake up every day knowing that beneath their feet, the ground is slowly being consumed by a fire that cannot be stopped. Centralia is no longer just a town. It is a warning, a reminder that sometimes disasters do not happen suddenly. Sometimes they begin with a single, small mistake, a simple decision, a fire that was never meant to last, but once it. And even now, as you listen to this story, the fire beneath Centralia is still burning, silent, invisible, and waiting. What made the situation even more terrifying was the realization that no one truly knew how to stop the fire. Experts were brought in from across the country. Engineers, scientists, and government officials studied the land, analyzed the underground tunnels, and searched for any possible solution. Multiple plans were attempted. They tried digging trenches to isolate the fire. They tried pumping water deep underground. They attempted to block oxygen from reaching the burning coal. But every effort failed. The fire was not something they could reach easily. It was not something they could see. It existed beneath their feet, hidden in a vast and complex maze of abandoned mine tunnels stretching for miles under the town of Centralia, in the state of Pennsylvania, in the United States. As the years passed, the fire continued to spread silently through the underground coal seams. The heat slowly rose toward the surface, killing plant life and drying the soil. Trees that had stood for decades suddenly withered and died. Grass stopped growing in certain areas. The ground became hot to the touch. In some places, the earth itself began to crack open, releasing thin streams of smoke that rose into the air like quiet warnings. But the most dangerous threat was invisible. The fire released toxic gases, including carbon monoxide, a deadly gas that cannot be seen or smelled in dangerous concentrations. People could breathe it without realizing it. They could become sick without understanding why. Headaches, dizziness, and nausea became more common. What was once a peaceful town was slowly becoming an unsafe place to live. Eventually, the government was forced to face an unthinkable reality. The fire could not be stopped, and if it could not be stopped, the people had to leave. During the 1980s, officials began relocating residents. Homes were purchased. Families packed their belongings and walked away from the town they had built their lives in. Generations of memories were left behind. Streets that were once filled with laughter and daily life became empty. Schools closed, churches were abandoned, businesses disappeared. One by one, buildings were demolished, not because they were destroyed, but because the town itself was no longer safe to exist. Today, very little remains. Nature has slowly reclaimed the land. Trees and grass now grow where houses once stood. Roads crack and fade into the earth. Smoke still escapes from the ground in certain areas, a quiet reminder of what lies beneath. And below it all, the fire continues to burn. Scientists estimate that millions of tons of coal are still feeding the flames underground, enough fuel to keep the fire alive for another 200 years or more. This means the fire that began in 1962 will continue far into the future, long after the town itself has disappeared completely. Centralia was not destroyed in a single moment. It did not fall suddenly. It was erased slowly, silently, by a force no one could control. And even now, beneath the quiet surface, the fire is still there, burning, waiting, and it may never truly stop.